Hi, we are Books Are My Fandom, codename BAMF, and we are international book-obsessed beasties. We love YA, fantasy, sci-fi, contemporaries, and so on. And today's video is all about Wintersong by Jae-Jones, which is actually, I'm going to say new adult, but whatever. I am Danny from the UK, and I rated the book 3 stars.
Hi guys, I'm Jamie from Canada, and I rated the book 1.5 stars.
0.5.
Yeah. So this video is the 14th in our series of BAMF reviews that we buddy read once a month and then discuss, and it's our second for 2017. So today's discussion is all about the YA/new adult fantasy novel Wintersong by Jae-Jones. The summary reads, "Beware the goblin men and the wares they sell. All her life, 19-year-old Lysel has heard tales of the beautiful, mysterious Goblin King. He is the Lord of Mischief, the ruler underground, and the muse around which her music is composed. Yet as Lysel helps shoulder the burden of running her family's inn, her dreams of composition and childish fantasies about the Goblin King must be set aside in favor of more practical concerns. But when her sister, Kita, is taken by the goblins, Lysel journeys to their realm to rescue her sister and return her to the world above. The Goblin King agrees to let Kita go for a price. The life of a maiden must be given to the land in accordance with the old laws. A life for a life, he says. Without sacrifice, nothing good can grow. Without death, there can be no rebirth. In exchange for her sister's freedom, Lysel offers her hand in marriage to the Goblin King. He accepts. Down in the underground, Lysel discovers that the Goblin King still inspires her, musically, physically, emotionally. Yet when her talent blossoms, Lysel's life is slowly fading away, the price she paid for becoming the Goblin King's bride. As the two of them grow closer, they must learn just what it is they are willing to sacrifice. Her life, her music, or the end of the world." Really? You guys just have to read that? Story over. Done. Don't need to read the rest of the book.
That is not what appears on the back of my book.
Oh.
That is yeah, if I had read that, I would not have been as surprised by this book.
I think it's on the US hardcover, so.
Okay, because yeah, in this one, it only goes as far as to say that she needs to journey to the underground to save her sister, and there she has to make an impossible decision. So anyway, in today's video, we are going to talk about different aspects of the book while trying our best not to spoil it for you. Keep in mind that we don't necessarily have likes or dislikes this time around. We have things that we are mixed about, shall we say. So first things first, can we just talk about the pronunciation in this book?
Oh, you mean how I completely butchered everything that I just read?
Yeah, because I think it's Liesel.
That's not how I've ever been told to say it, though. So that's why I was like, oh, I don't know how to pronounce her name. I don't know how to pronounce her sister's name. That's why I only looked up her sister. For this video, I was like, how do I pronounce her sister's name?
There's a lot of that, though. There were a lot of... so I think this book takes place in Bavaria. So there are a lot of German words and things that come up, and I kind of wish I had listened to an audiobook version of this, because some of the time I would just be like reading it in my head, and I'd just be like, whatever that word is. And so there are a lot of foreign words, so German words, and there's no glossary, so you kind of have to just guess what it is from the context. And yeah, okay, so that's easy enough until you get to the music names and words, and then you're just like, what?
Yeah, I don't have an issue with foreign languages in books. Well, foreign, anything other than English in books. My issue is when they're used sort of either out of context, or they don't really explain why, what it means within the context of the book, because sometimes I'm like, oh, I know what this word is, and then I'm like, but it doesn't make sense for what they're talking about here. I think having, a lot of times what, comics and stuff do is they'll say, in this panel, they said this, and this means this. And I think if books started to do that, on page 14, they use this word, and this is what it means generally, but this is what it meant in this context, it would be really helpful for people that don't necessarily have the language background to understand that.
Yeah. And also, yeah, I like in books to have maps and pronunciation guides and so on, just because I'm a bit of I like to have that complete world knowledge stuff, at least in an appendix or something.
Yeah.
I just like appendices in general.
I think there's a couple books that come to mind that do that. All the books in the A Song of Ice and Fire series tell you like basically how to pronounce names, different birth charts and stuff like that. And then in Fallen Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes, she also does that. She gives you their name, their pronunciation, who they are in context to the story and stuff like that. And it made it really easy for me to just jump right into the story because I knew how to pronounce people's names instead of stumbling over them or just giving them different names because I didn't know how to pronounce it. Like even with, I remember when I would read Harry Potter before I learned how to say Hermione, I was like, and just keep going, right? Because
I think I originally thought it was like Hermione or something.
Yeah. And like I know it's from A Wintersong, the play. The name comes from. But obviously
A Wintersong?
Isn't that what it's called?
I just think it's really funny that we're talking about a book called Wintersong.
Oh, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's what the Shakespeare play was called, but I could be wrong. So until, like, obviously I didn't know Hermione was a person, like a character, or how to pronounce it because I hadn't read Shakespeare at that point in my life. So just when, like, J.K. Rowling did it in book where Hermione was teaching Victor Crumb how to say her name because people didn't know how to pronounce it and were writing into her. So that scene was included specifically for that reason. And I don't think it's a bad thing to have pronunciation guides in there so that people can become exposed to other cultures and stuff like that. Because I think otherwise I felt like I was in like Bavaria and, you know, like really living the non-provincial life or whatever you want to call it. And it just like, really felt the setting, but because I couldn't pronounce the words or wasn't given the right context for the words, because I don't know if you guys know this, but my last name is very German. My family's very German, but we don't speak German. So it's not like I have that background. So it was a little
I'm just going to say, and I don't speak the language.
Yeah, well, like, my family came over a long, long time ago, so.
Hey, look! It's the same color. Oh, you can't really see it, but it's the same color as my hoodie. Side note. It's my color!
Like maroony, burgundy color?
Yeah. The only time I like red wine is when I'm wearing the color.
Okay. It's a very specific time.
I don't like red wine. No, as in it's the only time I like the color, or red wine is when it's the color. I don't like the drink.
Oh, I thought you meant like if you're wearing your hoodie, then you like red wine. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
I never like red wine. The drink. Gross.
Yeah. So our next thing to discuss.
So yeah. So some of the words in this book. Okay, yeah, you had like some music jargon. You had like foreign words. You also had some like. Okay, given the time that the book takes place, and also the fact that in this underground world, in this goblin world, things are a bit dated, like fashions and so on that Liesel and Kita and stuff like the clothes that they wear are old-fashioned for that time. The language could also be, or the language that the Goblin King used was also kind of old-fashioned. So there's a point where he uses the word quim. Now, I don't know if you know this, but that's an old-fashioned way of saying a lady bit. So
yeah, don't Google it. Like I do not advise you Googling the word quim.
I did.
Especially, like, don't do it. Don't.
I was like, I'm fairly sure I know what this means, but I'm just gonna check. No, I didn't Google it. I checked it. Like, I have the dictionary.com app on my phone.
Right.
I used that.
But I mean, people watching, please do not Google it. You will get images that you probably should, like, it's not safe for work to Google it.
Okay, yeah. But yes, the other reason I liked this word was it was used by the Goblin King to tell Liesel, I think it was something along the lines of, you are not responsible for your sister's quim and whims. I thought that was really funny. Like, you are not, it was basically saying you don't have to be responsible for what your sister does. You don't have to be responsible for her virtue. And I kind of like this message as well. Like, she is responsible for that is her body, that is her choices. Let her make her own choices. You're not responsible for that. So I kind of like that as well. Part of what he was saying. I don't know how you felt about it. Or if you even picked up on that.
I did pick up on it, and I thought, like, the sentiment was nice, the idea that you don't have to take care of other people, but I think given context, like, her sister was drunk on goblin things that take away her senses, and she was trying to protect her from those men, and I think him saying, you don't need to, it was a little blurred context line thing there for me, so, like, while I understood the sentiment, the idea that, you know, we don't have to be responsible for others. There are times when you should take care of your friends and your family. Yeah. Like, if you're going out and they're really drunk and, like, you're not, do not let them do things.
Yeah, I guess the thing, though, is that, I don't know. I also, like, I know, for example, like, if you read behind the lines, it wasn't said explicitly, but Kita wasn't exactly an innocent, I don't think. It didn't come across as that she wasn't innocent to me.
I thought she was. That's why she was, like, I thought maybe, I don't know, it doesn't matter either way, whether or not she was. She should not be sexually assaulted by people because she cannot make her own choices. So, like, that part doesn't matter. It was more, I think it was more the fact that, you know, Elizabeth Liesel, whatever you want to call her, she liked to call herself multiple things, was taking, like, see, I don't even see it as okay, I'm going to back up a second. In the beginning of the book, her grandmother's like, you need to pay more attention to your sister than your brother. And then
or at least do it evenly because she doesn't pay any attention to her sister.
Right. Like, but like her grandmother was like, something bad's going to happen to your sister. And she's like, who cares? So then she, like, goes down and she's, like, protective of her for the first time basically that we've ever seen her be protective of her. And he's like, who cares? And I'm like, okay, buddy, like, mixed messages here. Like, should she care? Should she not care? And I took it as, like, one of those things where that was more like they were her conscious. One was the devil, one was the angel saying you should be taking care of your sister, you should not be taking care of your sister. And I just felt like it was fine to think that, you know, you don't need to always take care of one another because, you know, you're your own person and you can't make other people's choices for them. It was just the fact that they really brought it down to sex rather than anything.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's where my issue was, that it was more about sex than just familial bonds.
I can understand that, though. Like, the whole dynamic between Liesel and Kita, I don't even know how I'm pronouncing this right, but their whole dynamic was interesting, and that whole, like, Liesel kind of loved her, but she resented her, and she thought that all the vanity and stuff was kind of pointless, but also she wished but did she actually find it pointless, or was she just jealous? And
I think that's it was more jealous than anything else.
Well, I got that, but I also feel like she felt like she was, like, so she felt like she wasn't beautiful enough, she wasn't talented enough. So Liesel thought that she was left out of things because she didn't have the talent or the beauty or whatever to get anywhere. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Kita was also the black sheep of the family, and that she was the only one without any musical talent. So I thought there was that kind of the grass is greener thing going on as well between the two of them.
I don't disagree, but I think because we never saw her sister's perspective, I'm not even going to try pronouncing it anymore. So yeah. I think because we never saw it from her sister's perspective, that we can't make those assumptions, because the things that we saw for her sister was like, oh, she wanted to marry like this really wealthy guy and be able to take care of
her family.
But she also really wanted to dress up and blah, blah, blah. And it was like making it seem that being vain and wanting nice things was bad. Like she was the quote unquote bad sister because she wanted those things. Whereas Liesl was the greatest because she had music and she was not beautiful and she, you know, like really believed in these fairy tale things. And I was like, like you're kind of an asshole. So like she wanted to sleep with her sister's fiance. Like that's not okay.
Yeah. But at the same time, I guess she thought that there was something between them. Like I don't even know like how the whole thing between Hans and Kita happened. Like but it was just there, and I was like, but why?
Other items pacing, because what even happened in this book? Everything happened in the first 40%, and then the book was done, but not.
But like at the very beginning, it's like, oh, Hans and Liesl have this past where they have these. Well, she has feelings for him, and they've always had this bond, but he's marrying her sister, and it's never explained, like, really why he decided to marry her sister. And I'm like, is it because she's beautiful? But then, and then that whole, oh my god, that whole, like, bit where she's, yeah, her, like, ideal world where she's like, actually, you know what, I don't actually want this, in a way. Or where Hans reveals his, like, attitudes to women. And I was like,
but see, like...
No, bastard.
Okay, my issue with that whole dream world sequence is that, like, it's partly because of that, because we knew Hans had to be a bad guy so that she would end up leaving him and going to try and find her sister and then being with the Goblin King. And I'm just so sick of these romances where there's, like, one semi-okay guy and one not really okay guy, because that's what they were. And then they're like, well, how do we choose one? Oh, gotta make one an asshole. Or, oop, gotta kill one off. Or, oop, this one has to do something that makes the other one look that much better. And, like, I'm not okay with that. Make people morally gray. Make the decisions difficult. Life is never full of really black and white decisions like that. Like, anyway, relationships suck.
Yeah, like, Hans just came across as entirely too... Like, he was so... I don't know, maybe I'm just really cynical about men. But he was so male.
He was so plain, though. Like, there was nothing special about him on, like, in page. Especially since, like, she spent the whole time describing how gorgeous and beautiful and excellent the Goblin King was. And it's like, here's Hans, who's just here.
Well, I mean, in the beginning, she was like, oh, Hans is really handsome. Okay, yeah, he's not objectively handsome, but I find him handsome kind of thing. I think she does say that at the beginning at some point, like, oh, yeah, okay, so his face is a bit thin, or his lips, or I don't know what it was, or his eyes are a bit close together, but she is so in love with him that...
So these two other people are supposed to be together.
Just like...
But, nope. I don't know, that's just... like, there are so many irksome things about this book.
Okay, so yeah, and then this whole relationship with the, that reminds me of the other thing, this whole relationship with the Goblin King, like, it was a bit strange to me because it spoke, like, there were, especially in, like, the first half, where she has, it, like, says that she has these weird, conflicting feelings about him, and that she's drawn to him in certain ways, and yet I, like, never really... Like, there were bits where I was like, whoa, this is kind of sexy, but then at the same time, I never really felt the chemistry, because during that whole bit, she spoke of her attraction to him, this, like, weird attraction she has to him, but there's no real development of it to show her being attracted to him, or show them developing those feelings.
They also didn't really show him being a creeper. Like, he was a creeper, but they didn't really show it. like they briefly mentioned their little music things in the Goblin Glade Grace, whatever that flatland thing was, and they were like, oh, like he would always ask her. Yeah, I don't know. They would always ask her. He would always ask her to marry her, and she would be like, not yet, not yet. And like, okay, cool, but why did he, like, we know, quote unquote, why he was drawn to her, but we never really, like, it felt like they were just together.
Yeah.
Nothing, like, lead up to it. And I don't know, it just, so much of this was just blah.
The way you were just describing it kind of reminded me, did you read Twilight?
I did read Twilight.
So you read all the way through to the last book, right?
I went to midnight releases for Twilight.
Okay, good. So, like...
Oh, good.
The way you were describing that kind of suddenly made me think of the whole imprinting thing.
Oh, God. The freaking imprinting thing.
Like, this whole... They are going to have feelings, and I'm not going to explain why, just that they have feelings.
Yeah.
Thing. And that's kind of what this book was like, where there were feelings, and there's no explanation for anything. Which also kind of, I guess, ties to the whole Hans and Kita thing, where they're getting married, but there's, like, no explanation for it either, so...
I'm just gonna throw this out there, but this book reminded me a lot of The Star-Touched Queen, except The Star-Touched Queen was better. But I think it's because we saw the development of the chemistry and the characters really come together in The Star-Touched Queen. So basically, like, don't get me wrong, this book is basically a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, right? This plot has been there, done that, beat to death sort of thing. But I was excited for it. No, I'm not. But with The Star-Touched Queen, it brought all these different elements together in a way that just really made sense and really worked for me. And then the companion, A Crown of Wishes, is just that much better. Anyway, that was my, like, as soon as I started reading it, I was like, when she was like, oh, he wants me to be his queen, I was like, did I pick up the wrong book? Like, this is WinterSong, right? I didn't accidentally click on Star-Touched Queen. And, yeah.
It's kind of this, like, wish fulfillment thing where you kind of want to be whisked away by some magical prince or whatever and become royalty.
Is that what you want, Danny?
I'm not gonna lie. I would be a badass empress.
I would very much enjoy being taken by aliens. Also, did you see that there's a galaxy pretty close to us that has 7 planets that are the same size of Earth and they have life forms? Hi.
I haven't heard of the life forms. I did hear that there were 7 Earth-size planets nearby.
We're like 90% sure that there's life forms on them.
What kind of life forms? Are we talking like bacteria type of life forms, or like?
Even if there's bacteria, though, that's really good. We can start heading out that way and start colonizing a new planet because ours is dying. Anyway,
and we have 7 to go to.
How exciting! Okay, so should we talk about world building?
Yeah, I think this is something that we both enjoyed.
That's why I put like a star to my rating.
Like, not so there was the village and also the underground, and I liked, like, I could actually imagine it all. I could imagine in the beginning where they're walking down that road and it's all muddy and stuff, and like I'm like, yeah, I can relate. I've been in those situations, walking down a muddy path type thing. I
think also
the underground, you had these. You can imagine all of these tunnels everywhere, and the different kinds of magical beings down there were kind of weird and cool as well.
Yeah, I think on top of that, though, because that's basically just setting and description, I think the actual laws and rules and how wishes worked and how the magic worked was really interesting and really well thought out as well. I didn't find myself being like, but she did this, so now she can't do that, which I always look for with magic systems. So I quite enjoyed that aspect of it too.
Yeah. And I liked how lots was like music was, it wasn't just something that Liesl enjoyed and the Goblin King enjoyed. It was actually used as part of the magic.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that, and the way she just sort of discovered it as well, that she could use magic or use music to help her along. I thought that was really cool. So music, like I can understand why it's called Wintersong, because it's about the whole changing of
Winter and
seasons and also the music and stuff. So yeah, it made a lot of sense to me. And I like it when like sometimes titles are given in such a way where it's just like, I don't know. I like it when titles have a bit of meaning behind them. Or when you look at a book and you're like, oh, Wintersong, because there's like it takes place in winter or something. But now I'm just like, okay, so there's a bit more. There's a reason it's winter. There's a reason it's song. So I like that.
Did you know that there's going to be a companion to it?
I did know that there was going to be I thought it was going to be a series.
No.
Didn't realize there was going to be a companion to it.
Yeah, just a companion, which I'm not going to read.
Telling what?
I don't know. Maybe I'll write it.
Yeah, okay.
The only other thing... Oh no, we have two more things. I don't want to talk about this book anymore. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, so I think we both found the pacing was a bit tiresome.
Yeah.
It's a long book. It's the paperback version is just over 500 pages.
Oh, I think the hardcover is 467 or something like that. So it's like you're in for a long haul, folks, and it's not good.
Not me to hit the microphone. Yeah, it's 508 pages in paperback. Thick book.
Yeah. So the one thing that I was like just kind of looking forward to when I picked this one up and why I requested it was that it's being marketed as a retelling of The Labyrinth. And look, I really like the movie The Labyrinth, okay? Like, super like the movie The Labyrinth. I didn't think it was going to be like a straight movie to book telling with like some things are, but I thought maybe more aspects than what we saw in the book would have been incorporated. So, you know, having it like maybe an actual labyrinth, and just calling the underground a labyrinth is not the same thing. Sorry, you lose. Also, I know Danny doesn't like him, but David Bowie was like very interesting and creepy, but also really seductive as the Goblin King.
I will agree with the first two, and then just say that he creeped me out. Like,
yeah, like it just, his character was so like, I don't know, dynamic, I guess. Whereas this Goblin King was very passive, and I just couldn't see the connection. It was like they were polar opposites, magnets going bloop. So I don't know, but I just thought that there could have been more aspects of it to tie it in together, especially since a lot of the marketing was heavily relying on the movie The Labyrinth and stuff like that, and that's how it was being marketed to bloggers, to people, even in like their Goodreads advertising and stuff like that. It was like retelling of The Labyrinth, and I was like, okay, cool, like sign me up, I'll watch The Labyrinth. And now I'm like, I should have just watched the movie and read this summary, and I would have had the same experience.
So yeah, you were drawing on the Labyrinth movie, which I have not seen. I've only seen like short, like I've seen YouTube videos. Mostly when Bowie died, I saw a lot of GIFs and pictures and YouTube videos, and I think I saw the trailer years ago. For a school, like at school, we were studying film in English class of all things, and I saw the trailer, and I've always just found it really like, I don't know. Bowie, I know lots of people find him sexy, and I've always just been like by him. So Saws, but Black Sheep, here I am. But what I do know is The Goblin Market by Christina Rossetti, which is a like poem, one of her many poems. And I think that's the basis for a lot of these goblin stories. Because I know, like, I think Labyrinth draws on it. One of the short stories in, one of the short stories in, what's her name? The person who wrote Strange the Dreamer, Laini Taylor. She has a collection of 3 short stories, and one of them is also based on the Goblin Market. And that's how I was led to this poem that I really like. But that only kind of covers the first chapter of this book, so.
Yeah, it's very much just like the first 10 to 15% is where you can see some of this inspiration. The rest of it, like, it's basically just the plot of like every movie ever. 2 people love each other but can't be together, so one goes away.
Or someone kidnaps someone else, brings them to their lair, and now I'm thinking of The Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I like Phantom of the Opera, so I don't know. But yeah, I did feel like I was really into this book. So we both got the preview thing, and we both really liked it, and I was really excited for this book, which is why I pre-ordered it. But actually reading it, I'm kind of like, it was an interesting premise.
But that's it. Because the first 40 pages are really good, and that's probably like the best part of the whole book is those first 40 pages. And that's
it like really draws you in.
Yeah, that's what you
kind
got.
of like Goblin Fruit, and then it destroys you.
Yeah. So honestly, like, you could read the first 40% of the book, and
I'd be happy.
Be happy, and actually you'd probably be happier if you only read the first 40% and didn't read the rest. So, I think we're pretty much done. I don't really care about the rest. So that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning into our video chat for WinterSong by Jae-Jones.
And for our next review, so for March 2017, we are reading Hunted by Megan Spooner. I am really loving this whole sort of fantasy thing that we're doing at the moment because I love fantasies.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of fantasy, but next time we're doing a lot of science fiction. So we're balancing.
Well, I mean, I like fantasy and science fiction. It's like we had a lot of contemporaries last year, and I'm like, okay, push back to fantasy and science fiction. I like my contemporaries, but...
Well, it was also just, they were shorter and easier for us to read faster.
Yes, this book was not compatible with my current time to read.
Yeah, it took me like 6 hours to read it because I was like, okay, what's going to happen next? And then I skimmed like the last 15%. Are you not going to say goodbye to people? Say bye.
Bye, people. See you.